this isn't maybe not a mistake. I want to try and bring it back.
I feel like every time someone says that, it presages a disaster. Hello and welcome to Did I Do That? It's a podcast about graphic designers making mistakes. Because when it comes to making just about anything, it's all part of the process. I'm Sean Schumacher, and joining me today for our Season 8 premiere, a very special guest. Equal parts creative powerhouse and globetrotter, he's done a little of everything from UI UX to sign painting, from sculpture to motion design, and from packaging design to work on movie sets in his native Aotearoa. His career has included time at the likes of Time Magazine, that is, Glassdoor, and OMFG Co. And these days he is a freelancing art director of all trades here in Portland. It's Sam O'Leary. Hi!
Hello. Wow, I didn't know you know all that stuff about me. How did you even find that out?
I have terrible news. I know way more than just that. Yeah, this is sort of, I think this is a very confrontational podcast usually.
All right, bring it on.
Yeah. So I wanted to pull back the curtain, show everybody what's behind it, which is, like it is in many theaters, just sort of pipes and very dusty boxes and
my favorite art materials.
Random trash.
Yeah.
This is our second try at doing this recording. If anyone out there listening is wondering why our last season ended so abruptly, it's because I got very sick right before we were supposed to record. A thing you really want to learn at 1 a.m. the day before a recording.
I was so ready.
Yeah.
Now I'm all thrown off.
Yeah, I know. I've ruined the chemistry. That happened. The end of the year happened, and it is still cold and flu season. So I admit I'm still feeling a little run down from all of that. And when I am looking for something to boost me back up, I don't reach for the purple stuff. I reach for the good stuff kids go for. Now, Sam, I know you've done a lot of work in the world of beverages, specifically coffee. Isn't that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Are you familiar at all with Sunny D?
Sunny D?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, generally.
Is that a thing in Aotearoa?
No, definitely not. Well, it wasn't when I was growing up.
Yeah. I did question, is any other part of the world going to get this horrible mystery beverage? A thing that we were always told growing up was part of the balanced breakfast, healthy, even though it contains no healthy stuff. It's
right.
Like orange juice, but the healthy bits have been chemically extracted and replaced with corn syrup.
Amazing. Amazing power of marketing.
Yeah, it is definitely not healthy, but it is also clearly a product for children.
Yeah.
Unequivocally, they did have the trademark catchphrase, the good stuff kids go for. So it's probably not a surprise that given that we here in the U.S. were force-fed sugar, even in our make-believe health foods like a goose whose liver was being fattened up for foie gras, that my generation leaned hard into stuff like Mike's Hard Lemonade as soon as they definitely weren't yet legally able to drink it. That being said, that was 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Mike's can't compete with new cotton candy flavored vapes. I like to think, though, that that's where this sort of new wave of hard seltzers have come from that are definitely not at all trying to sell liquor to children. We all know White Claw. Have you had a White Claw before?
I haven't had one myself, but I have seen people partaking in them.
They are all over Portland, and why shouldn't they be? They're the favorite of ants everywhere.
Right.
Did you know about Mountain Dew Hard? Mountain Dew Hard. It's Mountain Dew, but hard, by which I mean full of liquor. Very cheap liquor.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. How about Arizona Hard Tea?
Oh, my goodness.
Arizona, of course, a favorite of our inflationary times. Even Topo Chico has gotten into this game with Topo Chico Hard, available in seltzer, hard margarita, and something disturbingly called hard ranch water. What is that? Oh, Martha, we lost so many head of cattle this year to hard ranch water. Shouldn't have let that hog fall in the well and shit itself to death, I suppose. But at least with all those, they have some plausible deniability, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's theoretically a market for those beverages to people who are not children. Except maybe Mountain Dew, because God knows what adult can actually drink that. That is.
I mean, they all seem like the sort of transitional drink from being a teenager, still having those taste for ultra sugary things.
100%.
But then they're just trying to get you used to being drunk so that when you're an adult, like going and getting a beer or a wine or whatever is like more familiar, and you slowly your taste buds will change.
Yeah, mature beyond the need for sugar.
Yeah.
Well, none of those beverages, though, had for many years, again, the trademark tagline, the good stuff kids go for. Enter this. Do you want to read what this says on this packaging?
Oh. Wow. Sunny D tangy orange vodka seltzer. 95 calories.
95 calories.
Good Lord.
It's a health food, really.
Zero sugar.
Zero
That's
sugar.
Good. Contains alcohol.
Which I want to note, contains alcohol is in a little banner at the top, kind of in the same place where on a website you would see get 10% off your order if you join our newsletter.
Totally.
The kind of thing that you've just learned to ignore.
Absolutely.
Really a powerful beverage packaging game. And definitely like mature. I think you look at that packaging and you think immediately, this is a very mature beverage.
Yeah, or like definitely not for juveniles.
No, not at all.
Also not for discerning adults.
It's somehow for no one. It is very much like the old Nickelodeon branding, I think, this packaging. But so, this Sunny D vodka seltzer, these have been out for a while. They're not new. It did take me longer to find them maybe than it should have because I don't believe they can be legally sold in Oregon specifically.
Oh, excellent.
But certainly they're everywhere else. Now, I went to their website, and this is actually how things are described. And this is a good sign that things are maybe not going so well when this is at the very top of their FAQ. Question, isn't Sunny D a kid's drink? Sunny D Vodka Seltzer was developed specifically for adults 21 plus who love the bold, one-of-a-kind orange flavor of Sunny D and who also enjoy cocktails. We are committed to responsible practices, and our marketing is directed to consumers of legal drinking age. Our cans and outer packaging make it explicitly clear that Sunny D vodka contains alcohol. Didn't you see our little newsletter banner? With a disclosure that is can't miss at the top of every can. Question, are you using Sunny D and Sunny D vodka seltzer? We crafted Sunny D vodka seltzer to have the same great orange taste as the Sunny D our fans know and love. What is the alcohol content? Sunny D vodka seltzer contains 4.5% alcohol by volume. Wow. So yeah, this is basically Old English 800 with kids' taste to it.
That's so, man. It's just there's such a desperation to this whole endeavor that I just can't get on board with.
We're walking a very tricky line here. This isn't for kids. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Tastes identical though. 4.5% alcohol by volume. Wink, 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 wink. So like right before we recorded, or were scheduled to record the last time, I was dredging the bit well hard, seeing if there was anything in there besides the hog carcass. And I check in on Sunny D Cocktails on Instagram where I see something not so good. Do you want to read actually what this post says?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Should I sort of describe this like?
I think you could describe whatever you like there. There's a lot to pull from.
Yeah. So it's a Wicked themed advert.
Oh, is it? Interesting.
Yeah. With
the popular children's movie, you mean?
With Sunny D orange cranberry vodka seltzer dressed up as Glinda floating in a bubble. And then we have the Sunny D orange apple. It's green. Dressed up as our favorite evil witch.
Elphaba, I believe, is her name.
Mm-hmm. And then it's saying that it's limited edition flavors that will change you for good. From a good sober child to a drunk sober child.
That's for good. Would you say that is maybe verging, just briskly touching trademark infringement, possibly?
Oh, man. Yeah. If that's not an authorized partnership, I would be in the legal team of Wicked being after Sunny D, for sure.
Well, the interesting fact is I'm pretty sure it isn't because I have looked into how Wicked is doing other partnerships, and they always say Wicked and not just for good, rendered in a very strange, default-looking typeface.
Yeah, wow. Wow.
So a couple things worth noting here. One, these are not limited edition flavors, so we're already on a lie. These are just the regular flavors of this vodka seltzer. Two, again, this is definitely not an official tie-in, even though if you actually look at the description there, the social media tagged this #Wicked, #Wicked for Good, #Wicked movie. Point number 3, Wicked for Good is rated PG and is a big hit for kids who are going to all be looking at those hashtags specifically because children are the only ones who believe hashtags have any value anymore.
Wow. A lot of mistakes were made.
A lot of mistakes are made. And old-fashioned non-vodka Sunny D is also still being marketed to children. Which leads me to remember that fun little line in our FAQ. Our marketing is directed to consumers of legal drinking age.
Oh, my God.
So, Wicked, for good. Sunny D vodka seltzer, for evil? 2026, there just aren't laws now. Just do whatever you want.
Just do whatever.
Just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Sam, what do you plan to do now that there aren't any laws?
Oh, just whatever I want. Yeah. Just like until I get caught, you know? Like,
there's no laws, so
no one's gonna catch me, right?
Yeah, no one's gonna catch you.
Yeah.
Maybe you can join in on my first piece of merch, the brand new Did I Do That store coming soon. T-shirts made out of 100% virgin asbestos fiber.
Nice.
Why wash when you can just burn the dirt away?
Yeah.
So there's no laws. So
burn after wearing.
Yeah. It's my favorite Coen brothers. But Sam, you didn't come here to talk about the Coen brothers or my lucrative new pivot.
Sure I did.
You came here to talk about your journey into design, really. Like you basically start out strong in creativity. Your mom is a documentary filmmaker.
Well, yes. She has actually worked in a lot of like human health services.
Yes.
For most of her like life as a nurse, and then working through the AIDS crisis, and then working with a lot of the prostitutes collective in Wellington. But all the while, she's been a documentary filmmaker. I think because she's been so close to all of these like very human issues. But she's also really embedded in like the arts scene. So I definitely grew up in a very like creative atmosphere.
But like when you were growing up, did you have a sense that you wanted to kind of also do creative work?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I've just always been. So the reality is it's kind of like I was always just like this kid in a room full of adults.
Yeah, sure.
I just had to kind of go with whatever was happening. And the thing that was always there for me was like a sketchbook.
Yeah.
So I could just like sit and draw and like do whatever and draw my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or like my weird mutant birds at clubs. And I don't know, it's like this weird one of like all these strange bird humans at a nightclub. And I'm like, what is
Hold
this?
on,
like,
yeah.
where was I that I was influenced by this? But, but you think about all the, TV that we watched. I think we're around the same age.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
a lot of animals with abs.
Yeah, so many weird mutant creatures or robots from outer space, or like all this like great, this is like totally great stuff. Really surreal, and it was all inking into my mind, along with all the influence of the kind of queer arts community of Wellington, seeping in there too, I guess. So yeah, I mean, it was cool, and I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because like in some ways I just like wish I was always with my mum, but I wasn't with my mum, she was like doing her own thing, which was like good inspiration that, you can continue to like just explore your creativity even when you're a parent,
Yeah.
It like, it doesn't change things unless you let it. So that was cool. And so, yeah, I definitely like, travel around the country with her in New Zealand, and she continued to do her work, creative work. And as I started to kind of evolve my own creativity and learn more about different things in design and all that sort of stuff, I started to help her with like, the covers for the DVDs and the, whatever sort of promotional and marketing materials that she would like. I was just always that kid, like at school too. Like if anyone had like a band or a drama thing, they would always just like I would do like the posters or like come in and make a thing for them, or like I was just kind of just up for whatever.
Yeah.
I think that was definitely influenced by all the creativity I was around. And like I think the diversity of the creativity too, you know, like my mum was a filmmaker, but then she had friends who were painters and sculptors and performance artists. And so like I never saw and have still, like I still never really want to or have been tantalized by specializing.
Sure.
And so I think that having that diverse exposure has led to the sort of creative practice I have today. And maybe I had like a sensibility that was leading towards that already and just saw and was influenced by all these different things. But I think it was really important for me to like have been exposed to those things.
That makes total sense. Like when you are surrounded by a lot of creative people who are not putting like essentially boundaries on the kind of work that they do, no wonder you are going to grow up and like want to work in a bunch of different directions and let those all kind of influence each other.
Yeah.
Like,
and never be satisfied.
Yeah. For good and for ill.
Yeah.
For ill, maybe that's what we need to call Sunny D vodka seltzers campaign
Sunny D
there.
vodka seltzer for ill.
It will certainly get you there. I have no doubt about that. So I know eventually you go to media design school in Auckland, but like, how do you find your way there? I know it is a like slightly circuitous route.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was a strange decision. Oh, I mean, not strange. It was like it was really good, and it like, you know, but. So I was really passionate about film. I wanted to be in film.
Yeah.
So I left home around 17, and then I was working at a pizza place called Hell Pizza in Wellington, which was actually, you'd love it. It was started by these university students at the tennis club at Victoria University, and it's all hell themed. So all the main pizzas are named after the 7 deadly sins.
Great.
And yeah, it's great. Very satirical, and like their whole marketing campaign was like always really funny. They would do these like, I mean, terrible, but, you know, like funny at the time. Like they did these ones that would like interact with other ones next to it that were always like really crass. So they'd be like putting like two guys with a big pizza like oven thing, you know, like to put the pizza in the oven. And they're like laughing, and like on the other billboard is like someone like bent over or something. So it's like, you know, it's just, you know, that was the vibe.
Excellent.
Anyway,
Excellent.
I was working there. And so I really wanted to work in film, as I mentioned. And Peter Jackson, little known New Zealand film director. I don't know if you know him.
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah. So, you know, he's from Wellington. He has this whole film production, you know, sort of like mini Hollywood in Wellington, in Miramar. And it wasn't what it is today when I was a teenager, but it was on its way. And they were doing King Kong.
Yes.
And we had a family friend who was an electrician for the miniatures department. And he managed to sort of get me like in the door. And then I just kind of like kept going back, give me a job. They didn't have any jobs for anybody because they were all filled up. But they gave me a job as, in the end, probably just to shut me up, as an art department trainee, which was great because it ended up in the end meaning that I have my own credit line.
Yeah.
So there's like art department, 1,000 people, and then art department trainee, Sam O'Leary.
Yeah, you're on IMDb for that.
There you go. Yeah. But anyway, so I did that first. So I was working part-time at this pizza place, and then like the rest of the time at this job. When I finally got it, I quit pizza, and then I was just like doing this 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. Whoa. And it was just like intense. So at the end of that production, which was like a year later, I was only like 18, and I was exhausted.
Yeah,
and like that was not, I didn't want to keep doing that at that rate. And because I was going to go on to do Prince Caspian was the next movie that they were doing, the Narnia one.
Oh.
So they did King Kong and they did that. And because it's like one of only 3 miniature studios in the world, so that are like of this.
Oh yeah, I guess there's really hardly any left.
Yeah,
so it would make total sense.
There's one in Prague, I think, and then there's one in Hollywood that does miniatures, but not to this level, and then one in London. But yeah, he started big. What was it called?
Big Primate Pictures.
Big Primate Pictures. That's right. Which specifically for King Kong. Yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's his genius as a filmmaker, is that he starts businesses to support his films. All the catering companies were all his businesses. All of the all of the logistics companies that move the cameras from place to place are his logistics companies.
He's just like, a vertically integrated filmmaker.
It's like, it's inspiring and also like a little bit, whoa now. Like, it's like, it's got some real like old film like energy, right? Like
100%. Yeah. At least he's not owning the theaters that are showing the movies, which,
I mean, what
led to that system breaking up.
Yeah, he does support the film industry a lot. But then also, people with a lot of power and money often will make mistakes too.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah.
Never seen any evidence of that.
Anyway, so that was at the end of that I was like, I'm burnt out from this. It was amazing, and I still love it, and I would love to get back into film, probably now with a little bit more self-awareness too. Awareness of my boundaries and my limits. But that was when I was like, I need to do something else, and I was really interested in the intersection of the physical art making world and the digital. And this was early interactive web where everything was made in Flash.
Do I remember it well.
Yeah. And I was always kind of interested because I love animation and filmmaking, and I taught myself Flash and little cell frame by frame and tweening and all of the rest of it, and was always making weird little things. So I was like, I'll go and learn more about this and coding. And so I found this. It was a diploma. It's not like a university. It's more of a
more of a certificate program.
Yeah. It was meant to be for industry professionals to go and kind of learn and upskill.
Sure.
And then they had an amazing focus because that was in the downtown Auckland, and Auckland's the big smoke in New Zealand. It's the big city where everyone goes to get jobs, and it's where most of the people live in New Zealand. It's the population's 5 million. I think 2 million live in Auckland, to give you an idea. And it is also then a center of where all the marketing agencies are, and so the school was really tied in with industry.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was about getting people sort of funneled into internships or jobs or whatever, and we would always have people from industry coming in and talking and giving little seminars and stuff, which was really cool. And it felt I think a lot of education often feels a little bit disconnected from practical,
100%.
So
yes,
I think it was really useful to be these skills that we are learning directly relate to these needs of these industries or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great, and I enjoyed it. So I learned to do all the coding, HTML and JavaScript and ActionScript, PHP, and all this stuff. And I was making games, big interactive games. By the end of it, that was sort of where it landed. But that was only 8 months, and then after that, I don't know. It was sort of I have this desire, and this background of more physical art making, and now I have these digital skills as well. And I was still trying to find that the interplay. And then so I moved back to Wellington because Auckland was a bummer. It just wasn't the right culture for me there.
It makes total sense.
Yeah, it's the kind of place where people at parties ask you what kind of car you drive. And,
oh, cool.
And I was like,
that's a great vibe.
I took the bus here.
But a nice bus, like a coach bus?
Yeah. It was I sat at the back and picked at the chewing gum.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
One of those ones that has the lights that you can turn on and off?
Yeah, to help you get off.
Yeah. One specific light, a red light at the front.
Yeah. So I moved back to Wellington, and Wellington is the capital in New Zealand, and it's also a creative capital. It's Peter Jackson's got this whole film thing happening, but it's also a big hotbed of theatre, and there's Toi Whakaari there, which is a big theatre drama school. So there's just lots of really cool creative things happening. It's really familiar here in Portland. It's feels very similar. It's about the same size, and it's very political, and because it's the capital, so there's a lot of political action happening all the time. And then with all of the sort of creative scene, it feels, I think that's part of what makes it really easy and hard for me to live here, because I'm oh yeah, this feels I feel really at home, but then I'm but something's wrong. Where is all the people I know, and why does everyone sound funny, and
yeah, why is it almost like the government doesn't invest here in the way that maybe a capital city would?
Nobody cares about people. That's weird. But I could get a Sunny D with vodka in it. So that's good.
If that is legal anywhere else in the world, I would be astonished. Truly.
Yeah. So I moved back to Wellington because culturally it was a better fit, and I got a job at an animation studio.
Oh yes, I don't know how to pronounce the name of this one, but
it's just characters.
Of course.
Yeah. And it was, it was the 2000s, so everything was being spelled weird.
You're right. There was a legal requirement to do that at this time.
And then shortly after that, you had to add ify or Lee at the end of everything.
You also forgot the wonderful era in between where we had to delete one of the vowels. Just one, though.
Just one.
Just one.
Doesn't matter where.
No. Probably towards the end, but not necessarily. It sort of depends on what URL is available.
God.
Gotta get that .com.
Yeah.
There's no other way.
So, but Characters was really cool. And they were it was funny because I got hired for one thing, but they ended up doing, this is a very, this happens to me. Where I get a job and it's for a specific thing, but then my job ends up being something completely different. Or because I just I also just can't help myself. I was just but what about this? What about that? And we could do this. And then so they hired me to do, I can't even remember what it was now. It was probably something web related, helping them with their website. But then I ended up, just working there with them and getting to know them. And then I was doing so I redid their whole website and redid their brand. And then I was making graphics for their animation. So if there were signs that needed to be made, I do all those and put them into the background.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And so that was really cool. And it was a really cool experience working with them. And they were a really interesting animation company because they were pioneers in motion comics. Do you know motion comics?
I don't know motion comics.
So it was kind of they were. It was such a specific moment because now it's evolved into now there are all these adult animated shows.
Sure.
All the Marvel the What If and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But all of those kind of evolved out of this other stuff these motion comics, which were sort of somewhere in between reading a comic online, but then there being animation elements.
Yes. Okay. I think I have seen this where there are it's still essentially frames, but then there's limited...
it's interactive.
Yeah.
You go through it, but then there's animated bits. So they were doing a lot of that, and then they were also working a lot, and they had some really smart coders working with them who were working on really interesting render engines and custom animation software that they were developing themselves as well. And so there was a really cool influence of, because also Dylan was he was a traditional hand-drawn animator guy. And, he was an amazing artist and could just create these incredible scenes. But then he was working in concert with these savant level coders doing Python and all the rest. And so it felt in line with what that thing that I was sort of seeking,
Yeah.
How can the digital support the physical, and how can the physical add that depth to the digital, the human hand and that depth that you can only really get from things being a little wrong or things being a little bit you know what I mean?
Of course. The personality of the person who's actually drawing it.
Yeah. And that, you can feel the sensibility of the person behind the art. And so that was really great influence for me. But it wasn't really a defined role. And so it ended up, I ended up just sort of freelancing, but I was sharing a space with them for a while so that if they ever had any needs, I would just sort of meet them. Which is, again, I've just never really had a job. It's funny, I working for OMFGco, who people in Portland probably know OMFGco. That's my first official job I've had, and I'm 39. Since the pizza place, everything else has been weird, cobbled together, temporary, or I came in for this one thing and it turned into another, and then it's but this was the first time I had to have a negotiation about salary or
yeah,
which is funny. I think it's kind of I don't know, for me it's you get told certain things about what a career is or how it should be, and ultimately it's what it ends up being, and you have a lot of control over it, and so I guess I'm heartened by that, especially now that I'm in a transitional period, trying to figure out what's next for myself. I'm it's okay. Look at the evidence,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But in a way, it does make you more resilient to the tides of industry, which ebb and flow. I mean, we were just talking about Flash earlier, and that had what a wave that was, and then it went away. And,
exactly. And it was interesting, when you asked me about this, to come and do this, and you gave me your little prompt. I have it printed out here.
Did you really?
Well, I just I like reading things on paper.
God only knows what's in there.
Yeah. But it just, the little thing you talked about, think about times you made mistakes.
Oh, yes, of course.
And, I was all the time. In my in my work, in my art, and especially as a parent.
I think that's really unavoidable.
Yeah.
The creative mistakes you can kind of...
Yeah, and so that's, you asked if I'd bought in any old work, and I was like, well, I could, find stuff, but, thing is, I think, mistakes and making them have kind of become, as I've come to understand it, critical to my practice.
100%. Yeah.
And I think that's, probably the general thesis of this podcast for you is this is really important. We need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable and doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And then it's more about how you respond in that moment to that mistake, or how you learn from it. That's really important, right?
Yeah, and sometimes it's not an immediate lesson too. It's you look back on it and you're like, oh yeah, I should have done that a totally different way.
No, totally. But when you first sent that prompt to me, it was funny because the first thing that came to my mind was this really visceral memory of one of my beloved art teachers from high school, this irascible old Scotsman, Rob McLeod, who...
Hi, Rod.
Yeah, Rob. Yeah, he's an amazing painter, New Zealand painter. But we were very blessed with our teachers at Wellington High School in the art department. But I just remember him standing at the front of the class after inspecting this beautiful, immaculate pencil drawing that one of my classmates has done. And he'd clearly just been talking to him about something. And he turned around to the rest of the class and he says, "There are no mistakes." and the thing about
just
Sam,
unprompted.
Yeah, just turn around and yelled at us all, and we're all working on stuff, and he's just jolted awake. But that has really stuck with me, and the takeaway from the lesson, he was instructing Sam because Sam was this amazing illustrator and just absolute perfectionist. This is one of the only other Sams I've ever met, which is funny.
Sams are everywhere.
I know, but they're avoiding me.
I mean, maybe it is a Highlander situation where they have to be equally spaced apart.
Maybe. Yeah, it's weird magnetic thing where they get pushed apart by different poles. But he anguished over these drawings and was spending just so much time trying to make it perfect, and was wanted to erase this one thing, and that was Rob was just trying to tell him you're gonna make mistakes and you have to work out how to work it in, how to work around it, how to work over it, because there is just no way you'll ever not make a mistake. And I think that lesson and that image of him yelling was really exhilarated me, because I think that idea of perfectionism, the myth of it, can be really limiting.
Oh, it's the most poisonous thing. Really,
absolutely.
Truly.
And so if you allow yourself to be open to not knowing and fumbling through or doing something wrong, then you'll find yourself having a lot more fun and probably doing things you never thought you could, right? And I think that's why it's become so central to my practice, because I delight in that. I delight in going into something, a new project, and not knowing anything about it. And I learn new things. I meet new people. I research strange and bizarre topics, and I learn new skills, and I find new tools, and and then my practice can grow from that. And so, it was hard to look through my career and find something that was a funny mistake, because I literally do make mistakes all the time. And, even, most recently, mostly it's in saying the wrong thing or just being being inappropriate or something. But the example, all the examples you had, what was it? It was I'm just going to list it because I'll be
oh, please. We're really, this truly is, we're going behind the curtain.
Yeah. But it was basically, when I was reading, I was yes, that last week, this one, yes, probably tomorrow. But we did these new bags for Good Fortune Coffee a few months ago, at the end of last year. And
one of your longtime clients at New Zealand?
You're about to turn 10.
That's wild.
Which same age as my son. It was just kind of crazy to have this, there's this person who's been growing at the same rate as this company I've been working for.
Finally old enough to drink that coffee.
Yeah.
And then in 3 years, old enough to drink Sunny D vodka seltzer.
Yeah, totally. But we sent off the art, and this is a little bit of me and Matt Wilson is the guy who started it, and he and I are great collaborators creatively. But I think where we fail is both of us are kind of just creatives, and so there's just so many spelling errors, and there's Just like all this, like, all this
See,
stuff.
students, you're not alone.
Yeah. And like, we work with a local poet in Wellington for a lot of like the descriptions of the coffees, which is a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
And like
that's a great idea.
Yeah, and it's cool. And like he's like a poet and he's a journalist, and we developed like all of these unique fortunes for the bags as well. Like each bag had a unique fortune.
I didn't realize that.
It's really
That's
fun.
rad.
So you open it up and you get a fortune, just like a fortune cookie. And
take note, Dove Chocolates. That's way better than
it was
weird
cool,
like
yeah.
live, laugh, love sayings on your stuff.
For that was really fun because like I went to Chinatown, San Francisco, which is probably it's my favorite place on the planet. You were talking about your least favorite place was the Heathrow. This is my most favorite place. It's just like such a magical and strange place.
Oh,
but
so great. Oh my God.
The fortune cookie factory is there.
Yeah,
the OG. And so I went there and I was like, yeah, I'm doing this project and like I just like want some, like looking for some inspiration. They just gave me like a bunch of their like, fortunes, like just like loose. And I was like, oh, thank you, and so like there's a lot of them in there that are like directly relating to those, but we try to make them also like, colloquial for New Zealanders. And then also there are just some random ones in there like never trust Marge, like, like stuff like that, which is really good.
Wow. I mean, I always thought of her as the most upright of the Simpsons, but I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. What is she hiding in that hair? But yeah,
I mean, she's an American, so probably a full, just like AK-47.
That's where she keeps her Sunny D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the jumbo size. Yeah.
That's how she gets through parenting.
Yeah. I mean, probably.
But yeah, it's been really cool. But yeah, we make a lot of mistakes, and it's interesting though because I think with that brand in particular, it's like what we're talking about. Like there's a lot of the humanity or the relatability of it is that it is a bit weird, it's a bit offbeat, and like I think we have a lot of grace for the application or the execution of that brand because of that. Like it kind of adds to the charm. Like the whole inspiration of it is like weird old mistranslated posters and like firecrackers and like everything's kind of offset weird and like all the lettering's like fun but like hand done, so it's a bit off, and like so the fact that we're making actual mistakes, it kind of adds to the like legitimacy of our conceit there, that it's like supposed to be a bit off.
I mean, it's such a sign painting thing. Like even just thinking of like the grocer's apostrophe that like doesn't need to be there. That's like one of those mistakes that is just full of personality and is inherent to sign painting and like that visual vocabulary.
Yeah, which is great, and I love it.
Yeah. To circle back though, like I mean, you brought up San Francisco. You do end up there. Eventually.
Yeah.
At what point do you like decide to move to North America? Do you want to talk about your kind of journey to San Francisco? Because it seems like a complicated one.
Yeah, it is. It is and it isn't, like like things in life, I suppose. We left off in the timeline. I was in Wellington working with characters, and I was just kind of like, like most young people in New Zealand, there's a point where you kind of like, need to get out. And you may be familiar with the cultural phenomenon of the OE. Have you ever heard of the OE?
I've heard of the OC, but...
No, the OE is like maybe specific to New Zealand and Australia perhaps, but it's the overseas experience. That's what it stands for. And it's usually like right after high school or after your first year of university or after you finish university, and like you just go somewhere, usually somewhere in the Commonwealth. So like England or because you can live and work there under the Commonwealth visa.
Oh, really?
So like England or Canada, or a lot of the time people get stuck in Australia because they like move there first to earn more money, and then they're just like, okay, this is fine.
Good enough.
Yeah.
I think we would maybe think of this more as like a gap year.
Yeah. But it is definitely like a cultural rite of passage, I suppose. Yeah. And so I was kind of just like there, I guess, after, I was in movies and then Auckland and then characters, and I was just like ready for something else. And originally I'd gotten a visa for Argentina.
Oh,
and I was
really?
like even doing like night classes in Spanish because I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Argentina. And then for some unknown reason, like I really try hard to remember why, but I decided to go to Montreal instead.
Wow.
And
you could have had a totally different life.
Oh, absolutely.
My God.
In
wow.
Argentina. But yeah, so I moved to Montreal, and first I was woofing, actually. I don't know if you're familiar with woofing.
No.
Working on organic farms. Woofing. Woof.
Great.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it's probably not even a thing anymore. Maybe it is, but it feels like in this modern age, everyone like wants something for something. And like, couch surfing was also like a part of this,
big.
like this moment when I was a young person,
100%.
and like people would just let you stay at their house and there was no like,
no money
money. And
exchange.
like you would bring a gift, you would have dinner and talk and, like, I feel there's probably like a little subsect of that still happens, but like now with the rise of Airbnb, like totally like monifying everything.
Oh yeah,
it's just crazy.
Well, it is fascinating too because I've shared that Airbnb, like their initial investor deck with students to show like, oh, this is what one of those looks like and how you would structure an argument for that, and they actually like frame what they're trying to do as like couch surfing but with money.
Yeah,
which when you look back at it,
devious.
What a destructive thing that is.
Totally. I mean, they had no idea. I mean, maybe they did, or maybe they just didn't care, and that's the problem about like the ramifications they would have on the wider economy. And I don't want to go. I don't want to go there.
All the lessons of that decade basically are that.
Yeah.
But like, I've definitely known folks who've done woofing, even if they didn't call it that. That was definitely a big thing.
So I moved there with my high school sweetheart, which was, probably, upon looking back, it was probably a mistake.
That's a big relationship challenge at that age, for sure.
Yeah. And so, but it was fun. It was an adventure, and we moved there, and we were working on this farm, and then we moved to Montreal, and it was a great year. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Yeah. How much French did you speak?
Un peu.
Okay.
Yeah, I had done French in high school, and then like when you're in the environment, like when I was there, it was conversational. It was because it was everywhere, and all our friends were French, and we were living in the French side of town, and like we made friends with people at the local cafe and ended up living with them, and it's just like the thing about being young is there's just like so much flexibility.
Yeah,
and it was great. It was that talk about a creative city. I love Montreal. It's such a cool place.
I've heard nothing but good things. Oh my god, I would love to go out there.
It was amazing. The art, the music, and especially around that time. Showing my age again. This was like when like Arcade Fire and Bon Iver were all just like Bonnie Prince Billy. They were just like playing local shows, and like it was just so it was fun. But it all fell apart in Montreal between me and my girlfriend. And the plan was always that I was going to move to New York because my dad lived in New York when I was growing up.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so like my dream was to go to film school in New York. That's what I was like planning on. But what they say about plans. And also I was just like, after we broke up, I was just heartbroken, and I was just like young and stupid and like didn't really know what I was doing. And like, so I moved to New York with this, and I was like, New York is not that forgiving.
I mean, it does seem like maybe there's some
hard place to live.
Music in particular about how tough New York is to, sort of make it there.
And so, I was like down and didn't really know what I was doing and like a bit heartbroken, and I was sleeping on my friend's couch in Park Slope. And I was just like looking around, and I was like, I don't know if I have it in me to do this right now.
Yeah.
Like, because I was seeing what he was doing. He was working at Buck, actually.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Which you probably know. It's like a pretty rad studio. And, he's an amazing, talented guy, Pete McDonald. And
hi, Pete.
Hey, what's up, Pete? And he was just like, they were grinding. They were living the sort of Brooklyn, Manhattan life, and like they were just like very successful. His partner Rose was a lawyer, and I was just like, I'm just some weird kid who's like got a sore heart and like a backpack, and like I can't do this. And so I went down to Penn Station with all of my belongings on my back and flipped a coin between New Orleans and San Francisco.
It was truly that late, because I did want to say, especially during this era, you were a prolific Facebook poster.
Oh, wow.
And you did post your entire knoll of
you found
all of your belongings.
Yeah.
Knolling, for those of you who don't know, is a very around 2010 trend of laying out all your things as Knoll, the company, would, like in a lovely little grid. But this is like everything that you own.
Yeah, this was for me. This was like very Wes Anderson inspired,
Yeah, 100%.
And this was just everything I owned, and I would do that like to sort of I had a policy at the time of like I couldn't get a new thing unless I got rid of something of equal mass.
Wow. What a backpacker's way of looking at that problem. Yeah. My God.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that you can see it's a backpack.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I went down to Penn Station and it landed on heads for San Francisco, and 86 hours later I was in San Francisco.
I was gonna say that's a long train ride.
Yeah. I mean, it was great. It was a really weird experience and like fun, and like I had a camera at the time, and I like managed to convince the conductor that I was like doing a photojournalist like piece on trains in America, and he like put me in one of the cabins like for the last part of the journey. So that was like really fun.
You got bid up without having to do bid up.
Yeah, it was
I'm
good.
Jealous.
And, you know, I managed to email like an old friend of my mum's from her nursing days who moved to San Francisco during the AIDS crisis and was still there, Uncle Kevin. And he put me up for a little while on his couch while I figured it out in San Francisco. But that was like, so that's how I got to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Like when I got there, I think I was still, you know, I was still like, healing from all of the, you know, the heartbreak, but it was such a great city, especially at that time. It was still affordable,
relatively speaking. Like the companies, the tech companies had not really like taken over downtown yet.
Yeah, I think I got there like right in between the windows, you know, and like we left then, like, you know, now my wife, who's from Oakland, we left 8 years ago. 9 years ago, because we just couldn't live there. We couldn't make it as a young family.
Now, at what point in this time did you work on the houseboat?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I was staying with Kevin for a little bit, and then I found a place out in Ocean Beach. But it was so lovely living in Ocean Beach, and I would love to live there again. But it's a little inaccessible now.
Oh, yeah. But yeah. I would think that those real estate prices maybe went a little higher than even average.
Yeah. But I was living with this woman who she, instead of having children, adopted like death row dogs.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, it's like dogs who, you know, have been in the pound. And because they like, you know, attacked a person. And so like she would adopt them so that they would not be killed. And which was, you know, bless her.
That's lovely.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, one of these dogs that she brought home one day was clearly like abused by a scrawny white guy with like dark features.
Right.
Because it just wanted to kill me. And so I like got to a point where I was like, I had to like climb out my bedroom window and pee in the garden at night because it would like sleep outside my door waiting for me. And like I couldn't like come and go unless she had taken the dog out. And so it was just like, it was not a good situation. So I'm like on Craigslist and I'm like, gotta find another place. And then like this listing
Where can I go that there isn't someone actively waiting to kill me outside?
Yeah. So I found this listing that was particularly intriguing that read Cozy Floating Home. And I got on the Muni and rode it all the way down to the Embarcadero and then got on the BART. And then took the BART all the way to Richmond.
Yeah, this is a long, almost the longest trip you could take still in San Francisco. Well, Richmond isn't, though.
Yeah.
Richmond's in Oakland.
Well, yeah, it's like in North Bay.
Yeah.
So it's the Richmond Marina was where it was. And so, and then like, I'm pretty sure I only survived the walk from the BART to the place because I have an accent.
So you're only marginally less in danger than you were previously.
Yeah. Like people sort of approaching me from the shadows, like asking for the time, and I'd be like, "Oh, excuse me, yeah, I think it's 4:45," and they're like, "Oh, sorry, man." So anyway, I survived, and then I get there, and it's just like it's the most amazing, best situation I could have found, and I still love it. It's an old retired Sea Scouts vessel. So it was originally a tugboat, but it's like you imagine a tugboat, but like a little bit bigger and longer, and it has 4 main cabins on the main deck that are like smaller than this. Like,
still, that's a lot more than I was expecting.
Like that, and then the captain's cabin's up top, and then down below there are bunks that could sleep up to 20 people. And then there was a helipad, and I mean it was my very own real life Belafonte. Like it was just like I was dropped straight into life aquatic. But it was like It was a lot seedier. Because
well, I feel like I watched that movie not too long ago, and I was reminded it's a lot seedier than I remember.
Yeah, I mean, it was maybe it was like, I don't know if you've ever been to a marina, but like they're funny places because it's like there's this real clear divide between the people who live at the marina and the people who keep their nice boats at the marina.
Yeah.
And so I loved all the people that were there that we lived with. It was like, it also takes a particular kind of person to like want to live in this place. And so it drew a lot of different characters, and I lived with a lot of strange different people. And for me, it was great. It was very familiar. I was just like, great. There's like all these weird different people of all different ages. And like, we did so many weird, borderline criminal things. Like out on the bay, on the whaler, and like,
at a marina. I don't believe that.
We're just like, where are we now on the bay? Are we allowed to be on this island? Like, it's just like, I definitely had a big intern on the Belafonte kind of vibes going, and but it was so wonderful, and I was, the captain was amazing, and he actually met a real pirate's death last year. Which was really sad. Captain Kurt was a good friend. He was like in his 70s, and he was attacked and killed by some crazy people with samurai swords.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it was so tragic. And he was such a lovely guy, but he was also like, he was such a community builder, and he had such an open kind of like spirit and policy, but it also attracted like the wrong energies, right?
Yeah,
like
I
some
could see
people
that.
taking advantage, and like
he
he also lived like really. I mean, he lived on this boat. He lived on the fringes, right? But he was great, and it was really sad. But I was like, at the same time, I was like, I can't imagine any other way for him to have passed.
I mean, it is. You're right. It is such a piratey way to go. I have a million questions, and I feel like I shouldn't ask any one of them.
So it was great living there. Lots of experiences. And my best friend from New Zealand came out and lived with me there for about 3 months, which was great. We just made art and baked bread, and we started a little baked at sea. We had a bookbindery and a bakery, and so it was baked and bound at sea. Because we could stay at home all day and say that we never touched land. It was just like this great, it was just a great moment for us. And yeah, it was cool. And it was during that time that I was living there that I reconnected with Stephanie, who was my now wife and mother of our beautiful children. We had actually met originally on a train from New York to Montreal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but briefly. And never exchanged any information.
Was this during your escape from Montreal period?
Wow. After my girlfriend and I had broken up, I went down to convalesce with those friends that lived in Park Slope. Yeah. During the summer where Michael Jackson died. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. Do I ever? Yeah.
And we had that big dance party at the Brooklyn Art Museum when... It wasn't until a few years later that everyone was like, actually, Michael Jackson was kind of problematic.
Yeah,
right?
I do. It was such a thing, because I feel like right up until that day, if you'd ask somebody, Michael Jackson, you're like, oh, God, oh, no. And then for some reason on that day, everyone just like, oh, it's gone from our memories.
Yeah.
Until that documentary came out again.
I remember really vividly being at that, that intersection where it's like the famous Beastie Boys intersection.
Sure.
And I was standing there with my friend who was sort of, being my cultural tour guide. And he was like, and this is where, and then we just hear this person at the bar that's there and be like, Michael Jackson's dead. And we were just like, what's happening? This is crazy.
It's the weirdest way to receive breaking news.
Yeah. I feel like that's the best way, right? Almost like the town crier.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I'd much rather get weird news like that than a notification on my phone.
Yeah.
Oh, an important cultural figure just passed away.
Yeah. I mean, but then it was before the era of that even being a thing.
Yeah.
I remember being on a work computer at my job that didn't do much and just followed that whole story on TMZ and told people in the office, it looks like he is dead. Yeah.
I feel like we need more public in-person lament, I think that would be good. Yeah, so I had gone down to New York and then was on my way back to Montreal to kind of close up and leave. I was going to go to Europe for a little trip to stay with some friends who I'd met in Montreal. They had invited to come and stay in Paris with them, which was amazing.
Wow.
I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I could probably make that happen, I think.
Yeah. Well, it was in the time where, like, you know, when you're young and you, like, don't need to eat and, like... Or like you have like the exact amount in your bank and you're like, yeah, I can do it.
Yeah,
it's
like, Sleep is not a thing that I really need consistently.
Or like, I don't need to think about like next week or the following month.
No.
Like that's the future.
That's
I can sort that out
somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
A lot of the same atoms will have that problem, but not all of them.
Exactly. And so so I was on my way back to Montreal and then to go away, and I was in the dining car, I was drawing, and that photo, probably it's on my Facebook. It was doing a little like children's book about a fisher, because I just learned about fishers, which were these. Do you know what fisher is?
No.
Fisher is like a little like kind of river animal. They're a bit bigger than maybe they're about the size of a beaver. They're kind of like little dog, bear type mammals, and they're brown, and they kind of behave a lot like otters. I think they like live in rivers, and like they're a part of that whole area around the Hudson and up. And anyway, I was just writing a story about that, and she just asked to sit down across from me. I was like, yeah, I'm in the fog of my like grief and like whatever.
Yeah, and it could have been anyone because it's sort of open seating in a dining car.
Yeah, and I was like, go for it, and like sit down. And then she started chatting, we started chatting, and she's like a pianist and like had just come from New Orleans where she was doing like a music program with kids and like was staying with her sister in Queens and was just going to Montreal for the weekend. I was just like, this person is amazing. Like this is the kind of life that like I've been sort of looking to, be a part of, in my own, like it was inspiring for my own actions rather than like, wanting necessarily to be with this person. But it was just like, it was one of the moments where you meet someone and it feels like you're meant to because you needed to hear the thing they said.
Right.
Not necessarily to be friends with them forever or to, like, whatever. But it was like you came together so that you could learn that thing.
Yeah, it's like almost like they're a fortune cookie in your life.
And
it's just like, it's a momentary connection.
Yeah. And it was great, and we just like chatted, and then I don't know if you've ever taken Amtrak, but they sometimes mysteriously will just stop. Everyone has to get off.
That's great.
And they don't really tell you why, and then everyone has to get on again at some indeterminate amount of time, but then you can't go back to where you were.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So I went back to my seat, she went back to hers, and we never exchange any information or anything.
Yeah.
And then so I went back to Montreal, finished a job that I was working on, packed up where I was living, and went to London and Paris for a couple of months, and then went back to New York, and that's when I did the whole, like, I can't live here. Like, I'm going to move to San Francisco. And then in that intervening time, she had also decided that New York was not for her and went back home to Oakland, which is where she's from. And that Christmas is when I met... So I had met this woman, Sloane, who was a baker in Oakland, and I met her through her aunt. This is like maybe unnecessary, but I went to...
You're painting like this is basically the entire continent of North America, but yet it is also a small town where everybody kind of knows everyone.
Well, so I went to the Bay Area Video Coalition because like this is an amazing place. I don't know if it still exists, but it was an incredible like center for community filmmaking.
I believe it does still exist. Yes,
they're really cool. And my mum told me about it because she had met Wendy at like a film thing in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Wendy Levy was the woman who was running it at the time. And so like I went in and I was just like, so like typical like New Zealand, like, hi, I want to speak to Wendy, like, and like, do you have an appointment? I was like, no. And so like I go in and like have this big chat to Wendy and, talk to her about like how I'm passionate about film. I've worked in like art department. I'm like, digital, like I do all this digital stuff. And like, she's like, I don't have a job for you right now, but do you need a girlfriend? And I was like,
what?
I was like,
wow.
No, but like, can't never have too many friends. So she introduces me to her niece, who is this woman, Sloane, who is this amazing baker, and she lives in Oakland. And so we just like, I meet her and like we hang out, and she's cool and everything. I don't need a girlfriend. There's still the line. But through, comings and goings, she meets one of my shipmates, Dan, who is a lovely guy, works in lighting. He's probably in his early 40s, and he's really nice, but he becomes infatuated with Sloane.
Oh.
And like, he's not creepy, but she's not interested. So it's just like,
there's an age difference,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And so her Christmas party comes around, and my friend is visiting, my best friend Andrew from New Zealand, and we really want to go to the Christmas burlesque party with our captain in San Francisco at the Armory. That's what our plan is.
Uh-huh.
And then Dan comes along and is like, hey guys, you going to Sloane's ugly Christmas sweater party? And I was like, oh my God, what? Like, how does he know about this? Facebook or whatever. He's like found out about it. He's wearing his ugly Christmas sweater already. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I can't not go to this. So we go to the Marina Christmas party first, which is a really crazy party because it's like I said before, it's like a mix of the people who live in the Marina, who our immediate neighbors were a mother-daughter stripper, and they lived in the little boat next to us. They were so lovely, but it was just one of these weird quirks.
Yeah, what a time, my God.
Yeah. And they had a pole built into their boat and everything. It was a whole thing. But then all the nice Richards and Daves and Dereks and stuff who have their yachts. And so it was such a funny scene because there's us also, this weird motley crew of people coming in, and we're doing drinking games, and I won a life preserver, like a floating vest thing.
Great.
So I have this floating vest over my ugly Christmas sweater, and I come burst into Sloane's party afterwards, and I'm like, hey, nice to see you, nice to meet you, because I'd met some of her friends, so I'd recognize some people. And about an hour into the party, this woman comes in and is like, I met you on a train from New York to Montreal, and it was Stephanie.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. And so she also was not supposed to be at that party that night, but she and her friend had gotten a little high and decided to go to Sloane's house because Sloane was a baker and made the best cookies.
But not even knowing that there was a party. Just
completely forgetting that they had a party.
From Sloane.
Yeah, completely forgetting that they had been invited to this party.
Wow.
And they walk in and it's like Sloane immediately puts them to work as if they had intended to come to the party. But yeah, it was great. And so we connected, and then it was just such incredible coincidence. The amount of things that need to happen for us to converge there. I think we were both a little bit overwhelmed by that.
Yeah.
In a good way. And so a couple of days later, she came out to the boat, and we had a movie night. And the next morning, we went to breakfast, and she was telling me about Tahoe. And I was like, that place sounds amazing. We should go. And then so we went to Tahoe.
Sure.
We just drove to Tahoe after breakfast. And then we stayed at the rustic cottages, and we've been together ever since. It's just that was our first date, and we have now got 3 children.
That's a hell of a first date, my God. But that she remembered you from the train ride, and clearly, it clearly had a big impact on you as well. That is an equal measure in both directions is so rare.
Yeah.
It in a way it kind of makes sense that the universe would find a way to get you back together, even if it is through kind of the craziest series of accidental connections.
It's because our children needed to exist. No other reason. It's just those 3. They needed to come into this world.
If they can save this world, please. Yeah.
I mean, if anyone can, it's those 3.
I believe in them. I need to believe in something right now, so that would be amazing.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
So that's how I got to San Francisco.
You are in San Francisco. You've met your future wife. In 2010, you start working at Time Magazine as a UI, UX, and web consultant guy.
Yeah, that was a bit strange too. That was actually a job I got through the Bay Area Video Coalition, which was odd. Because they had a job board, kind of like Open Signal here.
Sure.
So anyone can post to it that's tangentially related to the field.
It would also make sense too, because it's UI UX is such a burgeoning thing still, even there.
Yeah, that was this was still when things were hard coded. There were no just click and let AI make it for you.
Yeah, I'm sure the article URLs are still .html for Time Magazine at that point.
Totally. It was. Yeah, and so this woman Jean needed help because she was tasked with making a site for money.com and finance.com, which were subsidiaries of Time. And so it was the weirdest thing for me to be doing, and also made the most sense upon looking back on it, because it's a pure example of how I think I operate is it's almost never about the work for me. It's always about the people.
Yeah.
I met this woman, Jean, we connected, and whatever she needed, I would help her do. Even though, like, I don't give I don't give like about time or money or like none of that. None of that resonated
What about
with me,
moneyandfinance.com doesn't appeal to you, a person who probably has $30 to save?
Exactly. So I'm just like, it was funny because in that same building where she was, it's like in the Embarcadero complex. It's kind of like, you probably recognize it. It's like quite famous,
absolutely.
Yeah. That's where the Time headquarters were. In that same building, I had gone under the recommendation of an old professor from media design school, Colin, who became a friend of mine and collaborator. He said, maybe you just need to go to like a recruitment place, because I was kind of like looking for a job and like freelance. I was freelancing and I was like, maybe I just need to get a job. I hear people get jobs.
It seems theoretically possible.
Yeah. And so I go and I had like the most weird conversation with this recruitment woman who was like lovely, right?
But they often are.
But she also made me feel like horrible. Like she like literally made comments about like, what I was wearing. She was like, you should go to the Banana Republic and like just buy like this. And I was just like, I left the building and be like, this is not for me. Like, I'm not gonna like dress a certain way to get a job. And I think that was like, I don't know, maybe not everyone would make that choice, And so I think it was probably good learning. Anyway, it was funny that, the following month or maybe even a couple of weeks later, I had gotten this posting and Jean called me, and it was in the same building where the recruitment was, but up at the top floor, and I walk in wearing the same clothes, and Jean's like, hey, welcome in, like come in. Like she was so cool, and like we just like connected personally, and we like roughed it through this like bizarre website job. It was just like meanwhile we're like having lunches and like just like both of us just like big chatters and like lots of ideas. And so she was also like amazing because she was this kind of like, she had worked on like the Spider-Man comic in New York as like a layout designer. She was like she was a graphic designer for a time. Like that was her job.
Yeah.
And then she like got this job because it was like, more secure or whatever. When she moved to San Jose, her husband's like in finance, like, big whatever. And like she was a creative and like she was also like quite woo, and like she had this conversation with she was from New Orleans, and I think that's maybe part of it, like just like a little bit more connected to like the other side of the veil. And which I always loved. And like she had this conversation with a psychic about how she was going to reach and affect an enormous amount of people. And it was like this like vague thing. And then she had all these conversations with like, I don't know, various other people that led her to want to start this like app about craft. So like sharing craft with people, traditional crafts and like, crafting and art making and like all this sort of stuff. And
I feel like I'm about to hear the origin story of Etsy or something like
that.
Well,
it was like, so yeah, Etsy was like not a thing yet, but like it was sort of happening, but like this could have been something like that. And it's still a thing. So it turned into this thing called Creative Bug. Which,
sure? Yeah.
She originally had this thought that it was going to be an app and you would sort of like buy it. But essentially at the time it was like, there was nothing around that was like curated learning that was well produced online.
This is the very beginning of like the massive online.
Now
like,
it's like now it's the base standard. Like you can't really make something for the internet that is like of a lower pedigree, you know, like it has to be well produced, even if it's on Instagram or like, TikTok or whatever. It has to be of a certain level now. But back then, as you'll recall, there was so much like ridiculously terrible half-hour long videos of someone like showing you how to do something, and you would have to like, really slog it through, and like it was only like at the end you realized that it was not the thing you were looking for.
And it took so long to download it, and it was also so low quality.
And
video.
Dave would have to like feed his dog in the middle of it, or like deal with the chickens, or whatever it might have been.
The sound just cuts out for the entire back half of it, and you're like, huh? What happened? Why did you still publish this?
Anyway, so like I end up helping Jean turn this into a website idea. So like we work together and like develop it into essentially what you would recognize now as like Domestika or like Masterclass or like anything like
Skillshare,
that. Yeah, Skillshare. All of those like were sort of like the one that was happening at the same time as us that was always like really worrying to Jean was Domestika.
Sure.
And I think like everything else came after them. The model that we were looking at that just was in a different industry was lynda.com.
Oh, yeah,
right? Which was really made for like tech, like skills, right?
Yes.
But we wanted to do the same thing, but with arts and crafts. And I was like, this is great. Like, I'm an artist. I want to support artists. I think like any way to help someone with their art or their craft to like make money, all about it.
But this also feels like such a thing of like, it's bringing together all the things that you can do, like the video stuff, the web stuff, the like actually physically making stuff.
Yeah. And like also like helping to select artists. Like, these are the people that have great skills that we should talk to. Like they have a good social following, all that sort of stuff.
You know the whole network. They were all at Sloan's party.
Exactly. Yeah. So it felt really good, and I was there the beginning, and this is like this isn't maybe not a mistake. I want to try and bring it back.
I feel like every time someone says that, it presages a disaster that's about to be described.
I was just young, and I was like, as I've sort of already described, this whole relationship was sort of predicated on us like being pals, being friends. Like, we had gone through this thing, like we had just like come up with this idea together. And I think like I was just young and very trusting and like naive and like, but I was basically like edged out of the, founder like stuff. Like even though I helped like significantly turn it into what it became, like I wasn't savvy enough to be like, I need to be a founder. Like not just like someone who's helping with everything.
But like that is also such a common story of all of those types of things in this era and a little before it. Like
I'm just not cutthroat enough,
Yeah. I think there's a whole movie called The Social Network about exactly that happening.
For sure. Yeah. And like, it's like I have some like amazing people that I met through all of that and like incredible experiences. So like for me, I don't, that's what's valuable for me.
Yeah.
I mean, we could probably use the money.
Hey, who couldn't?
But I think at the end you can't like hold on to those things. It's not useful.
No.
And that's how you learn, right?
Yeah.
So the next time I have an opportunity to become a founder,
listeners, get at us.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it was cool. And so we started this company, and it was exciting because I was like doing lots of like, all of the initial design for the UX and the UI, and then also like putting together animations that were like used for the pitching to the angel investors. And like we were going around looking for like spaces for the, studio, and like interviewing with like camera people and like building out our own like film team, which was really cool. And then like looking for a local artist to like sort of start. And that's like when we found Courtney Cerruti, who's, if you don't know her, you should know her. She's amazing. I'm pretty sure she still works for Creative Bug now as like the head whatever awesome person. But she's incredible artist and craftswoman and arts educator. She was doing a lot of like in-person workshops, but then also did a lot of the like window displays at like various different cool places. I think she worked like originally for Anthropology, doing like a lot of those cool like in-store experience sculpture things.
Would make a ton of sense. A lot of really great creative folks have come through that job specifically.
It's cool. I mean, they must have like a cool person inside Anthropology who understands like the value of that kind of visual experience for people, right? Like to be able to have such a good program or like to put so much energy into that. It was cool. Anyway, she was great, and like, she's remained a good friend, and like, what do you call it? Someone who fights for you.
Oh, an advocate.
An advocate. Yeah. So she's just been like a really inspiring person. So like, if nothing else, having her in my life, was better than being a founder.
Yeah.
I think that's like so cool. She's great. So, but then that all fell apart. I just needed to get out. Plus, it was like the longest I'd ever done anything.
Yeah, it's a pretty good long stretch. Yeah,
it's like
2 years.
Yeah, it was like, I guess it was 2 years from the beginning of doing it, but it was like a year just in office.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And at the time, Stephanie was getting her master's in Bloomington, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, we can't, like the long distance was just too hard. And like, I wanted to be with her. So
yeah.
I got another train. Yeah.
Not quite as exciting to go to Bloomington versus San Francisco,
yeah,
but
Bloomington's cool, man. Have you ever been there?
I've not, but I actually have heard good things about Bloomington
It's such a cool little town. It's like, yeah, we lived there together for a while, and I was working remotely there for Creative Bug, and then that was when they were like, no, you just have to come out and be here because it's like, it's going too fast, and I need, like it's just that stupid.
Take note, all managers that are trying to get people to return to office. Yeah.
It was
how that goes for you.
I didn't really need to go, but the Bloomington was amazing, and it's such a cool little college town. And I mean, Ross Gay lives there. He's a teacher there. I'm pretty sure. The great poet and writer.
Hey.
He's amazing. I actually have his Book of Delights in my bag right now.
Oh.
And the Bloomington Print Collective changed my life. They were amazing. Run by Danielle and her daughter. I just met so many cool creative people there. It was amazing. And also it's like on the music trail from like New Orleans to Chicago. And there's some really like savvy bookers there or something.
Sure.
So there's just always great shows that like people stopping on the way.
Yeah.
And just like in small little venues. So
that makes total
really cool.
University town. There's going to be some money for bookings just for students and stuff like that.
So we saw some great shows there. Anyway, moved out there again to be with Stephanie, and we reconnected, and then we were going to move to Chicago because Chicago's right there.
Yeah. That's an easy train journey compared to the twos that you've been on.
I love Chicago, and I had stopped there for a day on my way across, originally, and I was just like, this place is amazing. And we had gone there a few times in the time that she was living in Indiana, and I was just enamored, like, especially as a designer, like it's got such a great sensibility. Like it marries like the old school design sensibility with like, I don't know, this kind of like wonderful makeshift and like community rooted sensibility
100%
that I really enjoy.
It's like such a rich, varied design scene.
Yeah.
Plus it's got Big Metal Bean.
Yeah, exactly.
What other city has Big Metal Bean?
Exactly.
I can't think of one.
Yeah.
Until Chicago Resort opens in Las Vegas.
Yeah. But so we were going to move there, but then we had gone back to the Bay to have Christmas with her family, and we were walking along the beach in the middle of winter, and we were like, wait, why are we moving to Chicago?
This is already cold and unpleasant. It seems like maybe Chicago would be worse than this.
Yeah. So we ended up moving back to Oakland, which was really cool. And it sort of at that point, I had opted for this option with Creative Bug where I could take like half salary and half shares, so that when I left, I like took my shares, which was like half a year's salary. So then I took that, and for that year I kind of like had a like self-initiated sabbatical where I just like worked on whatever, and my friend again Andrew came back out and like stayed with me, and we just like made a lot of art. I had a number of art shows during that year, which was really cool, and that was really the year that I connected with my friend Patrick Sean Gibson, who's an amazing artist in San Francisco, and we had a joint show together, and I was just working really close to my community, right? Like, so like I was working with the Modern Coffee people and Colosso and Phase Video and Coffee. And because like they were people in my community who had needs that I could serve.
Yes.
And like for me, that was always been like the thing. Again, like I go back, it's always about the people and that connection, and then how can I help them? And I feel like design has that wonderful kind of ability, like when you use it like that in that lens, like, because design for me like becomes really uninteresting when it's like only serving itself.
Yeah,
that
is when it's at its worst, frankly.
Yeah,
because this is a practice that is fundamentally one of empathy, and like I think when design starts to veer into art, it's like, oh, that is like getting as far from empathy as possible.
Right. Yeah.
It's just self-expression.
Yeah. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with self-expression.
No.
But it's also like, because there are designers who like impose their design on people.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is what it should look like. And like, that's fine. But like, it's like, it only serves one purpose, right? And like only communicates one thing. And I feel like design is most interesting when it's responding to context, right? Like, and there's actually been conversation and collaboration that has led to the outcome that couldn't happen by someone just working in isolation.
Yes.
And I think that's what I was really leaning into during that time, because I felt like when I was working at Creative Bug, it was like going the other way. Like I felt like they were trying to establish a particular kind of aesthetic and support a particular kind of expression for a particular kind of audience.
Which makes total sense for everything that comes after in tech, where you are essentially curating things to their needs.
And that wasn't interesting to me, and it didn't feel meaningful. And so during that time, I took that grace period to do the work that felt like it needed to be done and that like people were asking for, which was great, and it felt like a really productive and rewarding year. And I think led to a new kind of work practice that felt better to me. And then, like after that, I just kind of like kept going, and it supported the freelance work, and like I formed a couple of like retainer relationships, and like the good fortune happened, and still work for Modern Coffee. And then I met Casey Dillon, who was another champion, who's like, he has like a small design studio, Bronze Creative, and he works mainly in like wine.
Which is like kind of a different beverage like swing than you've been doing.
Yeah, and
interestingly.
It was funny because like he first contacted me to do just like key art.
Yeah.
So like I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, I'm just like, I just want to make things. You know, like any opportunity, like to do another drawing or like play with another like tool or whatever. I think I'm always interested. It doesn't really matter what the industry is. And so we just like started this working relationship. It started with one wine, and then we just connected, and he just kept having needs and until he didn't anymore. And like, and so I would just, our relationship grew because like, he came to understand that my capabilities were greater than just illustration. And so we'd do a lot more like strategic thinking together, or design, or like I'd help him with the web stuff, or, things like that. So, and that expanded with Modern Coffee too. Like it started with helping them with their menu boards, but then they were going through a transition period where their ownership had changed. Like one of the partners left, and they wanted it to feel more their own. Like
But that is such a like prime opportunity to like, well, let's think about what big picture this thing could be as a creative. Like
and also what does it mean to us now? Yeah. Now that this person's left, how can we communicate our values and the space that we want to create, more appropriately. Now that, this other voice is gone. And so I helped them with a lot of that. Like, it's, as like design, I think a lot of the time in this kind of way is like therapy. And and it's like trying to help people understand, like, what is it you really want to communicate about your business? Like, how do you want people to feel when they're here? Like, what are the subtle ways in which we can like communicate those things through color and typography and like signage choices and all that sort of stuff. So I think that's where like that branding started to emerge for me like that. But I didn't get into like branding professionally until I worked at OMFGeeko. Like, yeah,
I was gonna say, but they do a lot of stuff in this very similar space, the food and beverage world,
hospitality.
At what point do you decide like, hey, I want to go searching for like more of a full-time gig? And also, I mean, we've talked a little bit about leaving Oakland.
So I guess so. We were living and working in Oakland, and we had our first baby, Miles, who is no longer a baby and is fascinated with ancient Rome. And we actually moved to Hawaii first.
Oh yeah, in 2016. Yeah.
Oh man, he's keeping track.
I do my research.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and so like at that point we were living in Oakland, and we wanted to try something else.
You wanted higher prices for everything: housing, food, gas.
Well, it was funny because like my dad lives in Australia now, and they bought a house on the Big Island. And in sort of service to like, how can we be closer? Now that we have a grandchild, and also like some health things, and just there was an opportunity to buy this house on the Big Island. So they took it, and we were like, oh, we've been looking for something new, a change, so we'll go and we'll like set the house up. And then we'll like, give us a good landing pad, and we'll figure out like our life from there. But once we got there, and I don't know if you've been to the Big Island.
I've not been to Hawaii at all.
Oh, you should go. It's a beautiful place.
Someone fly me out there, please. Yeah. If there's anyone who wants to record some episodes out there, I'll take any and all invitations.
I'm sure there's a design conference you can get a Like, Rome's a little bit further.
Yeah, well, yeah. I unfortunately, I have to wait 2 years before I can get that grant again. So, yeah. Listeners, keep on the lookout for the episodes that come out of that.
Yeah. Well, it's great. And the Big Island is each island is really unique. The Big Island is probably like the least like the Hawaii that you're imagining.
I've heard, that it's a little bit more.
There's kind of two distinct sides to it. Like there's the rainy side of the island where like Hilo is, and it's very jungly, and like it's more dramatic, like lava flow and like the black sand beaches, and it's like less resorty, and it's like lots of farms and like there's ranches in the high country. And then on the Kona side is more like there's the Hilton, and there's like people doing Iron Man stuff, and like, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but
Tony Stark's summer house.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But we really loved it, but it was like we didn't know anybody, which is hard when you're young, like about to have a baby, and like it was also really remote. So like this place where we were living was like an hour south of Hilo, which was already like, a small city.
Yeah.
And it was just like not feeling great for having a baby. And
well, you're so rooted in your communities too.
Yeah.
Like everywhere you go.
That's what I think we were just like, oh, maybe this was a mistake.
Yeah. Gotta be around more people than this.
Yeah. So we went and had this like trip so we got married and we found out we had pregnant, and then we went to Hawaii, and then we went to New Zealand and Australia and like had another kind of party wedding with my family who couldn't make it. And then it was during that time that we decided that we would actually just go back to Oakland and not go back to Hawaii. And so we changed our tickets and all that, and then moved back. And
you already had tickets and everything too.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, and we had a whole thing. We got rid of all of our stuff. We posted all of our books to Hawaii. Oh. And in the time that we were there, the post office is just like so slow and like on island time that by the time we got back to Oakland, they had sent them back to us in Oakland. So it was like they knew almost. They were like, let's just give a minute, okay?
We don't want to take those over, so we'll just leave them here and they'll figure it out.
I still have such like a visceral memory of the saintly postal worker carrying these heavy boxes of books up our stairs to our little apartment, and just like being like, just like signing for them and be like, thanks for using the U.S. Postal Service. Just like,
please send your lead bricks some other way next time.
Yeah.
Have you heard of FedEx?
Yeah,
they get paid a little better for this kind of shit.
Yeah. They've got the tools.
Yeah.
It was cool, I mean, we went back, but then I don't know. That's kind of when our path to Portland emerged, because when we were looking at Hawaii, we were actually looking at Portland as well.
Really?
Yeah, because we had friends who lived in Seattle, and we had gone up a few times, and just like we had actually done this road trip where we went out to see Stephanie's sister in New York, and we had 3 weeks to get there, and we spent 12 days in Oregon. Because we were just like, so beautiful, like camping in Ashland and like going, along the coast, and then like hung out in Portland. And we just so cool here. But anyway, so when we were coming up like with trying to figure out where to move, Portland was definitely high on the list. And so when it came back to decision-making time, because in the intervening time that we had moved to Hawaii, gone to New Zealand, Australia, and come back, the rents in Oakland had gone up astronomically.
Oh, yeah.
Like
this is the worst of the bad period.
Yeah.
Like for sure.
It was crazy. Like we emailed our property management people who we had been, with our last place, just to be like, hey, we're back. We're just kind of looking for something in the same realm, And they like literally took the time to laugh at us in the email. Like, ha, 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 ha.
Brutal. That's wow.
So, that's what we were looking at. And I don't know. I think we were looking in concentric circles that were like further and further out from Oakland, to a point where we're like, if we're living here, we may as well be living anywhere.
Yeah.
So then we were like, what about Portland? So we ended up just doing it. We like moved to a place sight unseen and like moved.
Wow. Wow.
And so we've been here, we've been here for like 8 years, and Portland's held us really well. So, I was freelancing when I first got here still, working a lot for Good Fortune still, and for Casey, and still helping the Modern ladies. But I was having a difficult time like integrating into Portland. Like I think for a long time I actually didn't realize how much I was grieving the community we had left behind.
I mean, that makes total sense, though. especially because you kind of had to do it in slow motion twice.
Yeah. And I think it's like really one thing to move to a place when you're young and responsibility free, and another to move somewhere where you're a young parent.
Yeah.
It's like the dynamic of life changes, right? The needs and the responsibilities and all that sort of stuff. And I kind of hermitized a bit and like was leaning on the work I already had.
Yeah.
And I regret not having like kind of gone out sooner and like kind of just got amongst it, as we like to say.
But it's like, this is a hard city, I feel like, to initially discover where those things are.
Yeah.
Because it's not like there is a creative center per se, like in some of those other places.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. And also just like, you know, not being familiar, not having the sort of, I feel like there's also there's a mobility that you have, you know, as a young independent person that like just allows you to sort of like go out and like just like discover things in a different way that doesn't like have any time constraints or like financial constraints or like, you know, someone who's with you needs to use the toilet like a lot.
Yeah.
But so it was actually Kate and Outlet that like first broke open the creative community for me, which is why I have so much love and admiration for her.
I mean, how could you not? Yeah.
Which I'm sure everyone who comes in contact with her has the same feeling.
I wouldn't be doing this without her. So
right,
you know.
Yeah. And so I went and did the Rizzo, like intro to Rizzo with her and made these cool little like posters of like a Prince quote, and still have them and love them. That was just like, it wasn't overwhelming, like, oh, now I'm suddenly a part of the creative community, but I think it was just like the push I needed. And then I got a contract with Fitbit for a while that got me through the pandemic. Which was pretty good. It was like I got it just before, and then it sort of like lasted throughout, which was very handy. Doing like motion design. They got rebranded sort of halfway through my contract, and I helped to define the motion language for the new brand.
Oh, sure.
Which was quite cool. And then they got bought by Google. So all that was just like whatever.
Well, I mean,
that's nice.
Yeah.
And then at that point was like, okay, things are opening up again a little bit, and I want to connect with Portland more and like the design community, and like here I am, like, you know, I've just been sort of doing this by accident, not like, you know, I've been a designer because of like, oh, here I am, like same formula as when I was in high school where my friends needed a t-shirt, or like the people in the drama club needed a sign for their show. Like,
you're problem solving.
I'll just do it. Yeah, like, and I'll make it look nice, you know, like. But like, I never went to school for design. I never had any thought of like, oh yes, I'm gonna have a career as a brand designer, or, you know, like. I've never had any like sort of ideas about what that could mean or look like.
But like, you also came up through like web stuff, and I mean, everything that I know about the web back when I was a web designer, like, was self-taught. Like, there were not classes on it then. We
had to do a lot of figuring out, which I think that might be like, if I were an expert in anything, it's in like learning things.
Yeah. Hey, useful for this field.
Because it's like, you know, things are always going to change. And I think like having that attitude of like being open to trying it out and seeing if it works and like all that kind of stuff. Just especially now, like the rates at which technology changes and the demands. The things that will never change are like how we connect with each other and like how like the stories we tell and like that emotional connection, I think, is the thing that we need to continue to teach and hone. Right?
100%.
Like,
it is the storytelling part of this job is the power that the humans can hold on to.
Yeah. So my friend sent me a listing on Instagram. She was like, "This studio is hiring in Portland," and I was like, "Okay." I'll like look at this, and I was like,
just one of the best known studios in Portland. I don't know.
Yeah. And I was like, it doesn't look like me, you know. Like I looked at it and like I was like, these guys are like fancy, like you know, professional. You know, like look at the brands they work for, and it was the work that they did for Next Up, the voting.
Oh yes,
and I was like,
I remember that. Yeah,
that was the thing that was like, okay, like maybe, you know, and which was interesting, and like also like interesting for the following 4 years. But so I applied. I don't know if you've seen my Instagram story that I did about the application.
I don't know that I did. Actually.
Well, you should look at it. It's fun.
Okay.
So they had designed this post. I'll just describe it to you because I'm already talking. And so they had this post that was like, we're hiring, you know, brand designer. I was like, what the hell is a brand designer? I didn't even, you know, and I didn't know then, and I still feel now, having been in the industry, being like, everyone has a different name for a different thing, and it's like
100%.
it's so like,
and the names are being reused willy-nilly. There's no system.
Visual designer, senior designer. Like this, and the expectations are all over the place.
Yeah.
And now having looked at like probably 500 different portfolios after reviewing through internship and hiring rounds, I'm just like, none of the naming matters.
No, it's all nonsense.
Yeah. So it's funny. But so I saw the post and I was like, oh, cool. Well, I'm looking for a project. I want to make something. So I'll use this as an excuse.
Yeah.
And if it works out, it works out. If not, like I'll meet some designers and like it'll be cool. So I look at the post and like there's some, colors and little like love hearts and like some nice type. And I'm like, okay, I'll make a box.
All right.
Yeah. And I'll use this pill shape that they use as like the guide, because at the time I was like really interested in learning how to bend plywood.
Okay.
So I found this like cool method where you like make these cuts in the plywood at certain intervals, but only to the last ply, and then you can bend it.
Yes, I've seen
which is really
this.
cool.
Yeah.
So I made this box. It was about yay big, and it is a big pill shape, and then like decorated it with like the graphic elements that they use in the post, and then wrote like artisan designer for hire, like in the same font that they used, so that and I documented the whole process in Instagram. So I like right from like looking at the design, then doing some sketches, then designing a thing in 3D, and then showing me cutting the wood and then painting the thing, and then like some ASMR of me painting.
What a good demonstration of all the things you can do.
Right, because I wanted it to be like, for me it was really important to like, I want to tell them I'm interested. I want to start a conversation with these people, and they're an interior and brand design place. So how can I show them like the things that I do and the things I could bring, but in their language?
Yeah.
Right? Like, here's a physical thing that responds to a design that you have. And so then I like fill it up with a bunch of examples of my work and a little like sheet that's an intro and a CV. And then I go and deliver it to them at their now old studio space. It doesn't exist anymore, sadly. And no one was there. because it's like COVID and everyone's working from home still. And so, but they still had it. And so I tagged them in this thing and I post the thing and I'm like, anybody? And they're like, someone will be there tomorrow. So I go and I deliver again, chance number 2, and I meet Brandon, who is now a good friend. And like, we've worked together the last 4 years. He's no longer there anymore either, but he was the one who originally designed that post that I was responding to. So I thought it was like really fun.
Damn.
Like and there's a picture of him holding the box at the end. And then they hired me.
I would after all that. Absolutely.
Which was, for me still, I was like, what? You want to hire me? Like, I don't feel like I'm a good cultural fit here. Like, but like it turned out then, I had the interview. I met like Kim and Fritz and Sarah and Nick and like Jordan and Lauren and we had like this great interview online, and it was just like so not the place I thought it was.
No. Their vibe is so similar to yours.
It was like we were such a good fit. And then I had the in-person and it was just great, and we just like wanted to keep hanging out, but they had to go and do a meeting or something. And then I've been working there for 4 years. So like, and I recently left, but I'm still contracting with them, which is, funny.
Yeah, I mean,
but I needed a shift. But it's been like a true master's class in brand design.
Yeah.
And like working there, and like, it's been so cool, and like I've learned so much. And also I feel like I've added a lot. And Kim and I started this really cool grant program while I was there, which is one of the things I'm most proud of, like having done, just so that we can work with people who like don't have the budgets that luxury hotels have.
Yes.
To be able to still like apply this kind of level of expertise and thinking. Also, the biggest surprise from the job was that like how much writing was involved.
Oh, so much writing. Which was
funny because like, I thought, oh, I'm going to be like a professional designer now. I'm going to be like doing typography.
Yeah.
we're gonna like talk about grids. And, like, I had all my own expectations that with baggage and whatever about like what design was. And it wasn't that. And it was great. And it was, like we made so many mistakes. Like, every job there's like, I think that it's just, that's where good work comes from. You know, like you gotta just like keep working at it, and like lots of stupid ideas, like lots of stupid ideas. And like that's where like the joy comes too, I think.
Yeah.
You know, it was like when you can laugh at yourself and the process and like the clients.
Yeah.
And like be able to get through and come through on the other side with like work that is really resonant, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like at hospitality work, especially, like you are trying to touch a way deeper nerve, you know, like this is about an experience or like imbibing a beverage, perhaps.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm throwing out a lot of $5 words on this one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's a lot of storytelling that happens
Yeah.
in this realm for sure. And sometimes it can be a little overwrought or unnecessary, but like the general aim is there and is good. And like I don't think there's a studio that does finer work in that realm for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
It is a very unique place. Sam, I'm curious if you have any, I would say, I've been trying to figure out what to call this last question.
Ooh.
And I think the one that I've settled on is closing traumas, things that have stuck with you over your career as like, you know, maybe a major mistake that you would want to remind folks of as we close things out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Framing it as closing traumas is definitely making this easier, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Definitely much
just
easier.
Like minor heart palpitations. Yeah, I think it's just that, like, kind of the attitude that we were just describing of, like, being open and honest in all good relationships, right?
Yeah.
That's what it requires. And I think as a good designer, you're someone who is, like, not afraid to not have the answers.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, I may have tripped up, and where I've definitely seen other younger designers trip up is when they are pretending to know in order to like fit in or something.
It's such an aspect of that perfectionism thing.
Yeah.
Of like you cannot be seen to have any failings.
But I think that's it's the other way around. And I think that the earlier you can learn that, the better you'll be, the more like relaxed you'll be, the more you'll be able to bring your like true self to your work and to your collaborators. Because it's like a big part of it is the trust in each other and in collaboration comes from that, like honesty. And the sooner you can be like just your whole self as a designer, it sounds a bit woo, but like I think it's true. Like understanding each other and your strengths and sensibilities is how the good work emerges.
100%. 100%. Sam, if people want to find some of your good work, where can they go to do it?
Yeah, this is a tricky one because I like
sure is. Like, it's been more and more of a problem. This particular question.
I kind of like was a part of the great exodus of Instagram, as you probably noticed. Like,
what do you mean? I still see 3 or 4 people that I know every week.
Yeah.
After scrolling through 8,000 reels of random shit.
I know. It also just became like, it felt like it was a job, you know, like I was working for Instagram and I didn't really want to be working for Instagram.
Yeah.
But I am on Instagram still, or at least it exists at Sam O'Leary Presents. And then I have my website, which is conduction.co.nz.
Yes.
And the story behind that is that conduction is a transfer of energy through a medium, which I've always felt like was how I related to design.
I like that a lot because I feel like that also is so medium agnostic, which makes total sense for you.
It's me.
Yeah. It's me, Mario.
It's me. Yes,
hi. I conduct electricity when I have the little hat that does that. Nintendo, get at us. You can pay us money, and then you can have Mario have an electricity hat. You haven't done that one yet, as far as I know. So
it's a good idea.
TM.
Yeah.
You can trademark things that are owned by other companies, I'm sure. Anyway. Yeah, that's also a great place, your Instagram, where you can go see that work that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks
Sam.
for having me.
Also, big shout out to Sarah Hollowood, who helped to make this connection happen.
A dear friend.
Hi, Sarah. You're awesome. And one more thank you out there for all of you who are out there listening out there. If this is your first time here, please be sure to subscribe wherever it is that you found the show, or visit diditothat.design to find out where you can. If you got a moment, please rate, review, and share this show. It's the start of a new season, so it's the perfect time to do that. Like I said, we got a supersized season coming at you, so the more eyes we can get on this, that doesn't really help us. Get ears on it because it's a hearing podcast. You can't watch it. I don't have money for cameras. Give me money for cameras, please. Anyway, this has been Did I Do That? I'm Sean Schumacher. And as we always say at the end of every episode,
Did I do that?
That's what we always say. Okay, bye. Great. Perfect. I also have a polar soda there if you want it.
Perfect.
It is.
Oh, but it's orange vanilla.
I might be the only one who's demented enough to actually like those. I also have a water over there, although it does have a dent in it, I've noticed, so I've been reluctant to give it away.
Dented water is my favorite.
I feel like when I was growing up, I was always told never buy any dented cans because they'll like poison you. And I don't know if that's still true, especially with like water and stuff.
I love that too, because what that makes me think of is like a weird throwaway comment someone who you admired said at that moment, like, and they were totally just joking or messing with you, but it's stuck with you for so long now.
100%. Parents especially, where it's just like, this was a comment that was just meant to shut you up at a certain moment, and it has become a neuroses
because
40 years later.
That question you had about the dented water was probably the 50-second question about the immediate surroundings that you had.
Whatever, just shut up about it.
It's poison, don't drink it.
Yeah.